my advice to those that are sort of just starting out, and to myself is really look to something you enjoy doing and want to do as a career in STEM, and don't close off any avenues. So there may be opportunities that as a young individual, young professional coming into the industry, you might sort of balk at and think, I don't really like the idea of that. Explore it anyway.
So first of all, Tom, can you tell us a bit about yourself and your career to date, please?
Yeah, so my name is Tom Williams. I'm currently the systems engineering lead at Spaceforge. Been with the company a little over 6 months now, approaching 7 months. Prior to my time at Spaceforge, I spent almost 13 years as an engineer, beginning my time as a software engineer in the defence domain, but working my way up through defence projects, both in tactical communications and sort of what we call C4I, command and control systems, all the way up to nuclear submarine systems design. So work my way up through software into systems engineering, and eventually into team leadership and product design leadership roles as a product manager and a product owner.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. So, can you tell us a bit about Spaceforge? What do they do?
Yeah, so Spaceforge, primarily we are a advanced materials company, focusing on utilizing the microgravity and high vacuum environments of low Earth orbit to really leverage that and that unique environment to create materials that would otherwise be impossible or incredibly difficult to manufacture here on Earth. Our current focus is mainly in the sort of semiconductor market, that we should hope to be launching our first low orbital concept demonstrator, the ForgeStar 1 platform, later this year.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Obviously, IntaPeople know Spaceforge, but it's genuinely a really cool kind of company, and what you guys are doing is very, very interesting. Perfect. So moving more on to the kind of questions about your career and advice you can give. Looking back, what advice would you give your younger self, especially when you were just starting out in engineering or STEM?
Yeah, so I would say that my advice to those that are sort of just starting out, and to myself is really look to something you enjoy doing and want to do as a career in STEM, and don't close off any avenues. So there may be opportunities that as a young individual, young professional coming into the industry, you might sort of balk at and think, I don't really like the idea of that. Explore it anyway. I think certainly from myself, that was probably a mistake that I made early on. Is I focused very much on one career path at the beginning, and initially was a bit of a misstep.
So I'm assuming that was concentrating on software to begin with before moving into more of a systems role.
Actually, it wasn't. Prior to my career in engineering, I applied for a postdoctorate degree at the University of Belfast. My original chosen career path was to be all pure academic. And so I spent a number of years going down the academic route, only to find that ultimately my passion was in the hands-on and the engineering aspects, as opposed to the sort of science piece. And that really was, as I said, that was probably the mistake I made early on, was I shut off the idea of hands-on engineering in my early career. I didn't look to actively explore that. Okay,
cool. What are there any skills and knowledge you wish you developed earlier in your career?
In terms of skills and knowledge, I think from my own perspective, a focus, and this is something that's come as my career has progressed really, is a focus on process development. Again, going into the sort of academic side and then progressing into engineering, my early focus and skills were targeting the technical aspects, the gathering the knowledge that I felt I needed to progress in my career, as opposed to the skills of how to discover that knowledge and
Okay.
apply what knowledge I did have in a meaningful way.
Okay, sure, that makes sense. And reflecting on your career, what's one mistake that ended up being a major learning experience for you?
As I said, I think the mistake was choosing to focus purely on the academic path. That was the mistake. The learning experience for me was actually, I had the opportunities to get a taste of industry and hands-on engineering early in my career, and I dismissed them. So that's
You
had quite an
dismissed it.
impact. It delayed the advancement of my engineering career by about 5 years or so.
So has that affected how you perform your work today, do you think, in terms of your thought process and how you
Yes,
kind of...
it's in my thought process and my mentoring of younger engineers under my tutelage. um, I'm always pushing for them to expand their experience base. So, at every step, encouraging those engineers to try new things, to try other disciplines, and not be stovepiped and ultra focused on any particular area.
Would you say there's any limitations to that in terms of, if they're a software developer, for example, and it's something kind of completely out of their comfort zone, completely out of what they've done previously, but it's something they might have an interest in? Would you say there's limitations to what they can and should do, if that makes sense?
There's there's certainly challenges in that area, and it does require an element of investment and support from any business or
Yeah.
organisation that they're part of, and so there are limitations in that regard. Certainly, what I would say is that young professionals coming into STEM shouldn't be put off by that, and should actively work with their mentors and their sort of line managers to explore those avenues in as great a capacity as the business or institution can afford to do so.